Vanguard rides again. That's a little low energy. I think I'll try it again. Vanguard rides again. A little higher. Yeah, a little better. Now, you've probably heard about topics relating to today's central topic in some way, shape, or form. It's something that people have been talking about for a long time. And even in its current iteration, it has been mentioned in some way, shape, or form before. People often focus on the internet as like a, let's say, central, what's the word I'm looking for? Central, I don't know, source of degeneration for mankind and their attention spans and their human interaction. But I mean, people have been making, this point before the internet was even a thing. I mean, you look at something like one of the first televised presidential debates, and you have a clear indicator that technology affects human interaction and human sociology and human perception, and then to a larger degree policy as a result of affecting human perception. I mean, you see, JFK was a very visually appealing guy, and so as a result, people gravitated towards him despite the fact that there were better arguments on the other side. And even before that, many philosophers have touched on the idea of how reading too much can actually, hinder your development rather than heighten it. What ends up happening, I keep saying I sound like a broken record. But the thing is, what ends up happening is when you're reading a lot of let's say esoteric, non-practical text, you end up being steeped in academia and the metaphysical realm, and you lose touch with your fellow humans and the grounded real world, and that's how you ended up being stuffed in lockers. I don't think bullies even do that anymore. I wish they would. I'm not advocating bullying. Sure, yeah, I'm advocating bullying. Yeah, people should bully, but bully like the way people did back in the days, where they wore like Letterman jackets and shoved you into lockers and gave you swirlies in the toilet. The current bullying is boring. It's like everyone just bullies you on the internet now. It's so annoying. Anyways, this method, the method I just mentioned, of feeding your mind such esoteric knowledge and becoming so disconnected from the world around you, is something that occurred with me. I used to read a lot, and a lot of it was because I didn't relate much to my peers to begin with, so I kind of buried myself even deeper into the books I would read. But then that kind of made issues worse. I ended up becoming so alienated from my peers, it was like I didn't understand them at all. And it wasn't like I didn't have any friends when I was growing up in high school. I mean, throughout middle school, I barely had any friends, but in high school, I had friends, and people liked me, but they liked me because of this sort of clever, quick-witted, humorous persona I had. They didn't really know anything about me. They didn't know anything about my ideas or anything like that, because I didn't really interact with people on a deeper level. My friends knew a little bit about me, but even they were kind of at an arm's distance. So, this sort of evolved into a much bigger problem as I got older, especially when I started getting into relationships and stuff. It's kind of hard to be in a relationship with a woman if you don't really understand how typical people work and think. It's one thing to understand why someone feels the way they do, but to not be able to relate to it kind of makes it hard to interact with them on a deeper level. So now that leads us into the current topic, being terminally online. Now, I know a lot of people who I can describe as being terminally online, and this is drawn from personal experience, the environment I'm in, the people I know, that kind of thing, and also just things I've read on this topic before. And you see, the thing with being terminally online is the internet exposes you to such a vast number of ideas in such a short amount of time. Your brain can't even really handle it. I know lots of people think you can, but no. It's like back in the day, in order to encounter certain concepts, you'd have to crack open a book and sit there leafing through one book, maybe two books, maybe three books, and you'd get like a lot of ideas, right? Nowadays, you just watch a couple of YouTube videos, and that shit, time goes by so fast when you're doing that. Before you know it, you've watched 20 videos. You've been sitting there for like an hour. And each of those videos was probably about a different thing. You just absorbed like an entire wealth of knowledge in an hour. And on one hand, that could be a great thing because, it kind of evens the playing field a little bit. You get exposed to so many ideas. But on the other hand, it's like your brain isn't really processing it. And then that leads us to the second issue, is often the things you're learning about aren't very relevant to you or practical in any way. A lot of it are just various trending social issues or social ills that are now being fed directly to you, and now you're being told these are the most important things on the planet. Even though they aren't relevant to you in any way, shape, or form, you don't truly understand them because you've watched, like a 20, maybe an hour-long video on it. You watch that 1 hour-long video and now you think you're a fucking expert. Because one, the internet kind of breeds that sort of persona within people to think they are experts. Because you're so used to arguing with each other on the internet, you're so used to trying to prove you're an expert, now you carry that same internet personality into the real world. And that's where a problem becomes trifold, I guess, if trifold is a thing. You end up becoming chaotic and unfocused, or rather than unfocused. You're focused on a bunch of disparate ideas that have nothing to do with each other and have no relevance to you or the people around you, and they're not as important as you would think they are, at least within your realm. Maybe these are important global issues, but they're not important for you and the person across the street from you. But you carry on into your life some sort of crusader, some sort of champion for this issue, trying to convert as many people to your side as you can, and trying to prove to as many people that you are informed about this issue as you can, even though you are not informed about it whatsoever, and it truly is not even as important, at least to you, as you would think it is. So, and then the biggest issue that comes from this is all you do is start regurgitating these things that you've heard from other people and read on the internet. So as a result, all your opinions are now unoriginal and not unique. Not that they were very unique to begin with. I mean, you're human. But this is a problem that actually happens as well when you read a lot of shit just all the time. No longer are you now within your own head rationalizing and sifting through information that you've seen around you. Now you're simply taking what was given to you and you're repeating it. You're just parroting things. And as a result, this creates a psychopath. not like in the clinical sense of the word. Although I think in terms of insanity, there's two types. Well, obviously there's more than two types of insanity, but just for brevity, right? You have real insanity, which is all the clinical diagnoses and stuff, and then you have social insanity, where it's like an acceptable form of craziness, where people walk through this world, and I see it all the time, doing such bizarre and saying such bizarre and believing in such bizarre things that I start to question their grip on reality. Like I remember at my last job, I knew this woman who every time someone would instruct her to do something, she would start threatening to sue and start to argue with them. And I remember when she... Gotta drink some water. Yeah, this is water, it's not soda, don't worry. I'm healthy. But I remember when I spoke to her about this, she was telling me how you gotta stand up for yourself. You can't let people push you around. You gotta stand up for yourself. And it's like, in my head, it was just like, so, I mean, getting mad because a supervisor is giving you like telling you to do something, you now should threaten to sue that person and get mad? I was like, how can you exist in this world or ever have a job if you might as well go start your own company then if you don't want anyone to ever tell you anything. Yeah, so she was a very bizarre person. And I meet a lot of people like that. And I started to wonder if that comes from being terminally online. you start to forget how to interact with people in a normal, humane way because you're so used to seeing all these heated debates, and you're looking through the comments section and everyone's cursing at each other for no reason, all sort of other goofy shit. Like, like I remember one of the funniest things in my life, and this is about to get a little X-rated, is when I was younger, is if you ever went through the comment section on any porn site, you would find some of the most weird and bizarre arguments in the entire planet. There'd be guys arguing about like dicks and stuff, and then you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, and I used to think this stuff to myself even when I was a teenager. I'm a teenager, and a lot of these I could tell they were grown men, just they were talking. You know, you're looking, you could, you know, they gave off that boomer energy, right? So they're sitting there arguing about different aspects of the porn, like the way the guy, I guess, is giving it to her, or stupid shit like that, and his cum shot, and I'm just like, I would just look at this like, this is bizarre. I was like, the funny thing is they don't even know how bizarre that is, that they're arguing about these things or going back and forth about these things. And that leads us to, you know, probably one of the worst elements of this is as you start to interact so much with the internet and you become terminally online, you start to, let's say, enter these groups, right? And what ends up happening is you enter these echo chambers, and within these echo chambers, the same ideas are repeated back and forth, and you don't ever get to realize just how crazy you sound and just how lacking in critical thought you sound. And you start to become convinced that you have figured it all out. You have the answer. And I think that's when you truly become insane. Whenever you meet someone who, like, that sentence in itself, it's as simple as all you have to do is, well, it's simple really. That person you're talking to is gone out to lunch. They're never coming back. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. If anyone ever tells you that, begins a sentence with those words, is they're about to talk about something really complex, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They've been using the internet too much, and what they're about to tell you is some stupid shit they saw in a video that was like 20 minutes long, and it's gonna be really dumb, right? So, like I said, I've known many people who were like this, and I remember I had a close friend. We're not so close anymore, but we were close at the time, and this happened to him. He began, you know, absorbing, I guess, we'll use the word absorbing, certain kinds of information, and as a result, he fell down this very predictable rabbit hole, what I just described. It's funny because I encountered the same information as him. I remember I used to make this point all the time. It's like, this was like red pill stuff, you know, falling down the red pill pipeline. I encountered the same things, but something was different about our approaches, or maybe it was just our personalities. My friends like to say I'm very skeptical to a fault. They like to describe me as a contrarian, so maybe that's what it was. Where I absorbed a lot of this information, and I would see parts of it where I thought, that's dumb. I'm gonna ignore that. Okay, that's kind of smart. That makes sense. That's stupid. This is true, but only in certain contexts. Like I guess I put a lot more thought into these things as I was interacting with them, because I guess this was partially because of like philosophy and maybe a little bit of like critical English. I mean, not critical English, Jesus. AP English, where you're taught to interact with a text or a dialogue as you're you know, sifting through it. You know, you write notes, and the way you write your notes, you're not just copying what you see, you're kind of asking questions to the text, and it's an interesting process. This is how you're supposed to read things. You're supposed to be interacting with the thing you're reading as you're reading it. It's very complex. It's not that complex, but it's too complicated to get into right now. I suppose he didn't do that, and he just began absorbing all this insane information, and as a result, his personality kind of took a strange, really bizarre shift towards like very aggressive, and I think it's because, like I just said, these issues are pushed into your face, and you are told these are the most important issues of your time, and you are told usually that you have a responsibility of sorts. So they became they would say the craziest, most insane things. They started to sound like they were on crack all the time. And they didn't know this. In their head, whenever you point out something to them that didn't make sense about their idea, they would just start insulting you and call you crazy or some stupid shit like that. No, not call you crazy, sorry. Call you stupid. And you're retarded and you're, or a sneaker would say, you're blue pilled. They would say stupid shit like that. You're in the Matrix, you know. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. Those insults also another indicator that the person you're talking to is not very smart. So like if someone were to tell you, or if they're not that they're not very smart, but they're too far gone, you should probably stop arguing with them. If they were to say something to you like, you're just brainwashed by patriarchal culture or some dumb shit like that, or you're in the Matrix, or you're blue pilled, or it's like, oh, shut up. You know, just stop arguing with that person. You're wasting your time. So, you know, he was like this for a long, long time. And I've met other people like this, like, who do the same thing. They're just very argumentative. And they say these crazy things that they think are reasonable. They have no idea that these ideas don't make any sense or that they're very jarring. Because they don't interact with enough people outside of their circles to realize this. And this is something people have been talking about for a long time. This is the result of being terminally online, using the internet so much. And the internet, instead of becoming a tool that helps you, that sort of enhances the world around you, enhances your life, it becomes the lens through which you view the world. The internet is how you interact with and how you view the world. And like, I remember in many cases, I would speak to people. Let's say I'd speak to, this would happen with both conservatives and liberals, by the way. Basically, I would say something that was very reasonable and very well thought out, right? And I'm not a centrist by any means, by the way, but this, if you're a reasonable person, most people will often agree with you. And they would agree with some of the things I said, and then they would develop an opinion that I must be within their little slice of reality, I guess, or their little group, because they agree with some of the things I say. And then we'd start to disagree on certain things, and then often I would hear things like this. I'd hear them say, I don't understand how you believe this, but you seem like a smart guy. And I'm just like, well, it's because there's a world outside of the dumb little bubble you shunted yourself into. It's like the world is a lot more complex and nuanced than you would think. I remember, to show you how crazy this shit can make you, I remember having a conversation with the same guy I mentioned earlier, where I mentioned that things are not as simple as you would think. Most things often take a very nuanced perception and, you know, a very nuanced solution. And this man literally said to me, no, actually most things are quite simple, and they have quite simple solutions. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna say it. I said something beginning with an R, because I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was clear that he was gone. So now this brings us to the solution. Yes, now after ranting about how people who claim they have all the answers actually have none of the answers, I'm going to sit here and tell you that I have the answer. It's as simple as going outside and touching some grass. Me and my friend have this joke where we say GGSS, and people never know what we're talking about. And the joke is, grab some grass, sample some soil, you know, like touch the earth, ground yourself. People need to start going outside again and interacting with people without the internet and just being normal again. They need to realize that using the internet so much and interacting with the world through the internet, getting all your news through the internet, just you need to chill. You need to take it down a notch. You need to start using the internet a little less. You need to go outside a little more. You know, I'm not gonna get into any woo-woo shit and tell you to start meditating. Although meditating is great. You know, just go for a walk every once in a while. Maybe listen to some nice jazz music. I don't know. Read a book. Maybe not a book, like not one of these books where it's like the feminist agenda or some shit like that. No, Stop reading those kind of books. Pick up, I don't know, fucking Moby Dick or something. And let's just take a nice little read and go, oh, this is a pretty cool book. Yeah. Maybe read a little bit of philosophy, but try to read like some philosophy that's not so socio-political. Just find some nice classical philosophy. I'm not even talking like ancient Stoics or anything. Take out some Descartes, some Schopenhauer. I don't know, just read a little bit. Just read. Be like, oh wow. So you mean to tell me that all the shit that we say now isn't that unique? They actually used to mention things very similar a long time ago? So are you trying to tell me I'm not special? Like I remember, just to show you, I'll give you an example of just how insane this being terminally online starts to make you. I remember back when people would complain about fake news a lot and fake media, and I agree, the media is very fake, but I kind of knew this from eons ago, before it became popular. When I was in high school, I'd read enough things and seen enough things that the media was fake. Like, it was just like the media obviously had its own slant. And I remember trying to explain to this guy that I knew, this very, I guess you'd call him a Trumpist. He's like a Trump cultist, right? And I don't got anything against Trump, but, it's just, I remember him saying the media is so much different now, and it's fake. And I was like, the media's always been that way. He's like, no, it's different now. And I was like, no, it's literally always been there. Like, I'm like, no, like, I can show you things from eons ago complaining about yellow journalism. It's like it's a thing that has always existed. Like, this idea that the media is fake. It isn't unique to our times. It's just something where more attention is being brought to it now. And I remember to sell the point, I sent him this song, which is literally about that, about how the news is curated in a certain way to manipulate your emotions and shit. It was just a simple song. I don't even remember the name of the song. Is it Dirty Laundry or something? I don't remember. Nice song though. But yes, basically, center yourselves. Bring yourselves back to reality, and you'll start to sound like a more rational and reasonable person. And I'm not even trying to be all preachy and trying to act like that I'm beyond this. I had my period where I probably sounded like a crazy person, and it was because I was reading a lot of let's say radical text, the kind of things that put you on the watch list. And I sounded like a crazy person for a while because it's kind of all I talked about. And it's like, I had to ground myself. I had to come back to reality. I had to start interacting with people in real life again. And that's just what we need right now, so we can come together as a people, as a society. We gotta come together like these hands right here. We gotta come together like the guys who were complaining about those cum shots on those porn videos. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope, that wasn't too preachy. I hope that was interesting enough. Remember to like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos. I have some other things planned, some things coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that stuff. And Vanguard out.